美国总统拜登上任以来4度的表态，一旦中国犯台，将会立刻出兵协防台湾。而这个说法再度获得了美国国防部长奥斯汀的背书。在美国有线电视新闻网 CNN 的专访当中，奥斯汀强调，美军将会以符合台湾关系法的方式，致力协助台湾发展自我防卫的能力，绝对不会坐视中国单方面的改变现状。而随着近来众多国际政治人物的访台，让台湾在国际的能见度越来越高。美国有线电视新闻网 CNN 也在台湾成立了亚洲第8个分社。我们也独家专访了资深的特派 Will Ripley， 他也表示自己的观察就是，华府现在2党已经形成了支持台湾的共识。
Joining us now is the award-winning CNN senior international correspondent Will Ripley. Will is now currently in charge of CNN's new bureau in Taipei. My first question, straight away, why Taipei now at this moment?
Well, I think we should have been in Taipei probably long ago, but I'm really glad that we're here now. I think given the changing dynamics in the region, the changes in Hong Kong, which is where CNN's regional hub is located, we decided that it was a good idea to start looking at ways to branch out and to cover China from multiple locations and not just from Hong Kong and Beijing. So now, we've had correspondents in Beijing and Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Taipei obviously is the next logical step because we feel that with so many news stories about Taiwan, a lot of them with analysts speaking from New York or from DC or from Beijing, and not necessarily Taiwanese people speaking with their own voice. And that's why we're here, is we're here to basically tell the story of Taiwan.
Right, so Will, you mentioned about how critical Taiwan now is. So speaking of the rapidly evolving global geopolitical picture, where do you see Taiwan specifically?
Well, Taiwan is caught in the middle of some major powers at play. And Taiwan is advantageous to different countries for different regions. You have a lot of United States politicians flying in here, giving speeches, taking photos, receiving awards, and showing their support for Taiwan. But then you have the leaders, the communist rulers in Beijing, saying that Taiwan is a part of their territory, even though they've never controlled it since the end of China's civil war. And so you have the United States, a friend of Taiwan, but not a formal diplomatic ally because of the United States' very complicated and tricky relationship with mainland China. And so I feel that Taiwan is in many ways kind of caught up in the changing tides of current events. And Taiwan's position can really change very constantly.
So you were based in Hong Kong, Tokyo. You've been to North Korea like 19 times.
Yes.
I remember.
You did your homework.
Right, and then now in Taipei. So do you actually see there's a pivotal role of Taiwan now?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Taiwan is important on so many different fronts, whether you're talking about its location, on the first island chain. Its location is strategically crucial for both mainland China and for the United States. And then, of course, in the business sector, semiconductors and the importance of Taiwan to basically most of the cutting edge technology around the world has technology that was created here in Taiwan. It was built here in Taiwan. And so as we look at this island on multiple different levels, we have to look at all of those different strands. You have to look at the military angle, the business angle, but also the fact that it is essentially the world's only Chinese-speaking democracy.
Speaking of a more sensitive topic, so we can tell that the U.S. President Joe Biden recent remarks mostly seems to be slightly moving from the strategic ambiguity to strategic clarity. In your point of view, do you think that's your observation?
Well, look, it's hard to imagine that in every single interview or every time he's asked a question, President Biden says, yes, the U.S. will defend Taiwan militarily, but then immediately his staff members of the White House will dial it back and say, no, nothing's changed. I have to believe that there is something deliberate there. Now, do I have sources telling me that? I do not. But the fact that this is now so many times President Biden has made this statement, is it signaling to Beijing? It is certainly interesting and noteworthy that on repeated occasions, including on CNN, President Biden has said this. Yeah, for 60 Minutes most recently, he said it on a CNN town hall back in October. I don't believe that's a mistake or a gap. I think that there's something there. That's my opinion.
Well, it didn't just happen once, it happens a couple of times.
Yeah.
So do we see the slightly change is slightly moving toward one direction, perhaps?
Let me put it this way. there are very few issues in the United States right now that can unite Democrats and Republicans, like the issue of supporting Taiwan. I think it's partially to do with the fact that China, through its various activities, has so alienated U.S. lawmakers. And so at the moment, supporting Taiwan, supporting this Chinese-speaking self-governing democracy is something that most people in Washington can agree upon.